Hey, my loves. So I was sitting and talking with my sister, and we were talking about how narcissists will, if something is not going right for them, how they'll come find you and take everything out on you, like basically use you as a punching bag. And when we were talking about that, that reminded me of the story of when the narc's place that he was living in had caught on fire. So I think I mentioned this story before. I don't know if I told the whole story, but if I did, take it all in love. It's still gems in there, still things that you can resonate and everything. But we ain't going into all of that. I'm just telling you guys about how a narcissist will take their frustrations out on you and use you as a punching bag, which is not right whatsoever. But here's the story. Okay, so because I don't know how to tell a short story, I'm gonna just tell you the whole story and we gonna lead up to that part. Okay, I'm gonna try to make it short though. So this was when COVID had just started. I mean, it had literally was running the news and they were talking about it. And so they were getting ready to start shutting things down. And so at this time, the narc that I was dealing with had just got admitted into the hospital. Now, this is also around the weekend of my family reunion, my last family reunion that I had before COVID happened or whatever. So when I came to town, because mind y'all, for those of you who don't know the story, um, I live in Georgia, but I'm from Vero Beach, Florida, and so that's where me and the narc That's where me and the narc is from, and so we ended up at that time that he ended up in the hospital during this time. We were just getting back together. He had just got done gaslighting and hoovering me back into the relationship. And so with this time, when he came back in, he used marriage to get me back in. He didn't actually propose to me. He just told me he was gonna marry me. He was like, I want to marry you or whatever. And so he was like, I'm not telling you, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. And so that was his proposal to me. Now, mind you, because I was so in love with this thing and I really wanted, I really wanted to be with him. I was really ready to be his wife and all that good stuff. Even with all of the mistreatment that I was receiving from him, I still loved that man at the time or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Didn't know I was dealing with a narcissist at that time. I'm just now a year in to since I've been no contact with the narcissist or whatever. And so he hoovers me back in with telling me that he wants to marry me and all this stuff. And that at the time, that was all I needed to hear because that was a struggle between me and him. He would always tell me he don't want to get married. He don't see himself getting married, but then turn around all at the same time and be like, oh, I want to get married or I'm going to marry you. When it came to a man, like if we went somewhere and I was meeting some of his male friends, oh, he would introduce me as his fiance or his girlfriend or whatever. I would have a title when it came to him introducing me to a man. But when it came to a woman, I'm like waiting for that introduction. Yeah, this is my fiance. Yeah, this is my girlfriend. This is whatever. He don't acknowledge me at all. I'm a nobody when it comes to a woman because we know how narcissists move. They need to seem single and available at all times. And so therefore, when it comes to women, he never introduced me to women as his girlfriend or whatever. To me, behind closed doors, he's probably telling them that he's helping me or that I'm just a friend or whatever because that's the manipulating games that they play anyway. So we all know that. So moving along. So this is the same weekend of my family reunion, and the weekend before the family reunion weekend, he ended up in the hospital. Now I was on the phone with him. He called the ambulance. They came, picked him up, took him on in. They admitted him. He was there up until the day that I had to come in for the family reunion or whatever. So at this time, he's still in the hospital. So I'm going to split my time between my supposedly fiance and my family for this weekend. And so here I am. I'm doing it. I'm managing it. I'm doing everything I got to do to be with the family and to be with him. You know what I'm saying? So we get into town and I go see him at the hospital as soon as I get in. And he was doing well, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing too serious going on with him. He was already 3 or 4 days into the hospital anyway. So I knew that they were going to be getting ready to release him because he has sickle cell. So that's why he's in the hospital. And so I have all this information and stuff in my older videos. And so this is just piggybacking off of some old videos that I've had already talked about. But the conversation that me and my sister had with each other reminded me of those incidents that happened over that weekend of my family reunion right before COVID started. So y'all excuse me, I do still have the after cough of the flu, so I'm good. So just bear with me if I'm doing the coughing or whatever. So I go to the hospital, I see him. He's like, I had already had arrangements to go and stay at the hotel or whatever, but because every time he comes back in, he does these big gestures for me or for my family, you know what I'm saying, to kind of seal the deal of him manipulating me, like he's really changed this time, or he's really gonna do what he said he was gonna do this time around. So he's always had to go the extra mile to lock me in completely or whatever. And so for him this time around, he was like, okay, I had already arranged for a hotel for me and my family, because I actually bought in me and my brother rode in together, and then my son or whatever. And so we had already had arrangements for a hotel and all that good stuff. But because he want to be extra, which he does this every single time he comes back in and hoovers and gaslight me, he want to do a big gesture. And so instead of him allowing us to pay for our rooms that we had already had set weeks in advance, he was like, keep your money in your pocket. I'm going to pay for y'all room or whatever. And so I was like, you don't have to do that. We're good. It's already paid for and stuff. And so he was just like, nah, let your brother them stay in the hotel, and then I want you to stay in my room. You know what I'm saying? So when I say room, y'all, this man like to live in room houses and things like that or whatever. Now, I ain't knocking no rooming house, because I lived with him in a rooming house for 6 months. Not my cup of tea, because I don't like everybody being in my kitchen. I don't like getting in everybody's showers and all that good stuff. So it was a lot of different body fluids and stuff flowing through that rooming house or whatever. And so it was home for 6 months, but that ain't something that I see myself doing for a long time or whatever. But he don't mind living like that. That's his forte. He will live in a rooming house forever if he could or whatever. Just long as the woman will go with him, he would definitely stay there. But I think if I had denied him of going there and, like, you know, been Miss Prissy or something, like, oh no, you're not gonna take me to no rooming house, then he would have found something else, because he gonna do whatever it takes to, you know, lock a woman in. So he was like, let your brother them stay in the hotel and you stay in my room. And so me trying to make my man happy, I'm like, okay, because he want to feel like he's somebody, because he had a car. He had a car that that actually worked in a long time. And so he wanted me to drive his vehicle, and he wanted me to go and stay in his room. And so I did that. I did all of that. The vehicle he had was, it was, we call it nigger rigged. And so it was nigger rigged. It was a special way you had to drive it. And I'm not knocking that either, because baby, I done had plenty of cars where you got to do a certain little trick to get it to go in. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't against that at all. Your girl ain't too bougie or too good for those kind of things, baby, because that's been my life for a long time. So I ain't no stranger to those things. And so don't look at me like I'm coming for him, but I'm just telling you how low-minded I was when I was dealing with him, because I ain't care about nothing else just as long as I could be with him. So, when you in that kind of place, you will settle for all kinds of things except for what you're really worth. You know what I'm saying? So moving along. So like I told y'all, he's making this big gesture. He wants me to stay in his room, and he wants me to drive his vehicle. Okay. and he wants to pay for my brother and my son them to stay at the hotel. And so I couldn't talk him down off of it, you know what I'm saying? But this is the routine, so I'm not gonna argue with him about it. I let him do what he wanted to do. So he paid for the room. I stayed in his room, and I drove his vehicle or whatever. So, so we had a rental car. So I let my brother take the rental car, and I took his vehicle or whatever. So I go and I stay in his room or whatever. Like I said, it's a rooming house, so there's other people who live there, but it was him and another person who was living in this rooming house, okay? So I go and I spend the night in his room. When I got there, it was late. So, you know what I'm saying? I didn't, when I go to people's stuff, I don't go snooping around and looking through people's stuff like that or whatever. I just don't. I just believe that whatever is done in the dark gonna come to a light. And so whatever I need to see, it's gonna be shown to me. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't gotta really go looking for it, because normally things just fall in my lap anyway. So whatever. So I go to his spot. I spend the night. Everything is fine. You know what I'm saying? He had a nice little cozy room. His room was decent. It was a height. You know what I'm saying? So I go in there and stay. I get up the next morning because he's still in the hospital. So I get on up the next morning. First thing that morning, I get up and I go back to the hospital with him. Okay. So when I left the place, when I came in, I had his key. He gave me his key at the hospital. I used his key to get in, and I used his key to let myself out and lock the door back or whatever. So to my understanding, because I didn't see nobody else, I believed I was there by myself. So when I got up that morning, I still didn't see nobody. But I did see a couple of things in his room that made my spidey senses go up. But I'm just like, even though I seen them, I still felt like, you know what I'm saying, this stuff could have been before we got together, and he just ain't discarded this stuff yet or whatever, you know what I'm saying? However, I was thinking of it at the time. I was thinking that it wasn't currently happening because we're back together. He says he wants to marry me, and so he's going to be, for real and legit about this thing this time around. And so, you know what I'm saying, while I was in his room, what I noticed was that there was a pair of lady underwear hanging, because it was like a bunch of stuff in this room. So it was his room, but it wasn't all of his stuff that was in his room. So I'm seeing this stuff, so I can't really determine whether it's his stuff or the person who was staying in the room or who owns the room before him, things that were left behind, and he just didn't touch them and left things the way that they were until I ran across one other thing. So like I said, there was a woman's pair of panties hanging up on top of this stuff that was piled up to the ceiling on this dresser thing or whatever. And then there was a trash bag hanging on the door. And when I went to go and put something in the trash bag, I seen the used condom inside of the trash bag or whatever. And so it looked old. It didn't look like it was like fresh, you know what I'm saying? But I seen those things. And so still, not knowing that he's a narcissist, not knowing that this man is chilling with other women, because at that time, I still didn't have proof that he was cheating on me. I just thought that he would, the furthest he would go was just chatting with other women and stuff like that. Didn't really see him physically cheating or anything like that. So in his phone, he would talk to women and stuff all the time. So, you know what I'm saying, I didn't think that he would actually do, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't believe that he had actually, possibly did it before I came there or something like that, because this man said he wants to marry me now. So, he on some different stuff, because he's moving the right way. But I done been fooled like this so many times before. And so every time he's came back to Hoover and gaslight me, I've always felt like, okay, this time he has really changed. He's doing something different that he hadn't done before. And so this is the real deal this time, you know what I'm saying? Just like all the other times, it was fake. Future faking is what they do, and they do it so well. And he had me fooled. Every single time he came back, he got me. So I didn't ask him about that, you know what I'm saying, like right off the top because we had just got back together. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it was probably before we got back together. And he just ain't, because it wasn't a whole bunch of trash in that trash bag. And so, it wasn't full enough for him to, you know, to discard it. And so it was that one thing in there and a couple of other things. But, the other things weren't a concern. But I did see that in there, you know what I'm saying? So I was like telling myself for real, okay, well, maybe this was before my time. If I see anything while we're back in this thing right now, then I'll go off of that versus trying to get mad about something that possibly was before we got back together and he had no idea that I was actually coming to be at his place or whatever. Either way, y'all, we know he's a narcissist, and so we know he did it. And we know he probably was still doing it even right before he went to the hospital and even right before I came there or whatever. We know this now. We ain't stupid now. Never was stupid, just was unaware. But we know we dealing with a narcissist now. We know that if we think that they wouldn't do it, they will do it. Point blank, period. So I go on to the hospital. I'm still being me and cordial and everything. And like I told y'all, when I left the house, I believed I was the only one in the house at the time when I left. And so if somebody else was there, I didn't get to see them. We didn't run across each other's paths or whatever. And so I just locked the place up, did what I was supposed to do, jumped in his vehicle, and I drove. No, I actually had the rental. Okay, so I lied. I took the rental and I dropped my brother them off at the hotel, and then I drove to the hospital, and then that's when he asked me to drive his vehicle, okay? So so I go to the hospital, and when I get there, everything is fine. So I'm sitting there, I'm chilling with him, and he got up. The doctors went and took him to the bathroom, and while he was in the bathroom, a woman came to the room. Every time he went to the hospital, y'all, that's what I was looking for. I was looking to see if any other women, because when he goes to the hospital, he does that to get out of something. So if I question him or caught him doing something, he will go and get himself admitted into the hospital to get out of whatever it is that I just caught him in or whatever. So I would feel bad because now he's in the hospital, okay? So every time he would do that, which was another form of punishing me, when he would do that, he would ignore me. He wouldn't talk to me. He wouldn't answer my calls. He wouldn't answer my texts. He wouldn't do anything. He would just ignore me, give me the silent treatment, gray rock me, whatever it is you want to call it. He would do that to me. And so I would just pop up at the hospital whenever I felt like it, just so I could see if there's another woman he's entertaining at this hospital, because I know you doing this just to get out of something. So I'm sitting there waiting on him to come out the bathroom. I'm eating my food, and this woman walks up to the room. Now, when she gets there, she looks in, she comes in, and at first, she had a regular look on her face, and then when she seen me, she kind of smiled or whatever, what I'm saying, to play it off, but I knew she was uncomfortable because at that moment, I was uncomfortable too. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, because I could have popped off just for her walking in the room, but I didn't. I sit and I think about things for a minute, and I just let it play out. I said, I'm not in the hot seat right now. She in the hot seat, and he gonna be in the hot seat when he come out that bathroom. So I'm just finna see how they finna act around each other in this room, because if anybody do anything sideways, y'all do anything or say anything I don't like in this room right now, I'm finna flip the bed. Yep, he could be in the bed. He could be on the whatever I can flip in this room, I'm gonna flip it. Just say the wrong thing. That's all I wanted them to do. So so she's standing there. She came on in the room and she like leaned up against the wall. He finally coming out the bathroom. The doctors are bringing him out of the bathroom now and bringing him back to the bed. So when he comes out the bathroom, She's standing up against the wall. So he looks at her, he looks at me, and I'm looking back at both of them like, what y'all gonna say? Because what's really going on? So I'm the only woman who's supposed to be up here. So why is another woman in this room? You know what I'm saying? Listen, I know people got friends, but because I've known him to have so many women friends and they're everything but his girlfriend, I've been trying to figure out who these women is while I was, dating him and stuff. And so I thought maybe I'm gonna sit back here and just see how these cards play out real quick, because clearly she wasn't expecting me to be sitting in this room either, and I wasn't expecting her to walk up in this room. So I'm gonna just sit and listen to y'all conversation and see how things go, because you can tell when something going on, because the conversation is gonna be awkward between them, because they're not gonna talk about the regular stuff that they normally talk about. So now they gotta come pulling some stuff out their butt. And so I'm here for it. So let's get to pulling things out of our butts. So let's see how y'all play this off, because I'm watching. I got my spidey senses on. And so this is a moment I've been always waiting for, because I've always caught him talking to people, but I could never get a face. I could never get a name. And why is this so important? It ain't important, y'all. But I'm just telling y'all, when I was dealing with him, I was trying to show this man, not show him, but he's always called me a liar. Y'all know how these narcissists do. They'll make you feel like you crazy, make you feel like you a liar, make you feel like you just making up stuff, you seeing things and things ain't really happening, all that good stuff. And I was fed up with that. So whenever I could get the solid proof that he was doing stuff, y'all, I wanted that proof. I did. You say just walk away. You'll say that if you've never dealt with a narcissist before. Ain't no just walking away. These people done put you through so much, and it's almost like you got to prove your point to them, because they done played with you and manipulated you so much that when you finally get all the pieces to the puzzle, you want to gloat in their face. Or you want to be like, oh, you said that was just your friend, but this text message and this picture right here, or this video that I got right here, says differently. Now wiggle your way out of this one. Now lie to my face about this one. Even though that shouldn't be so important, it really is when you're dealing with a narcissist. Because these people make you feel like you're crazy all the time, and all you want to do is just feel like you're normal. That's it. I promise you, that's all. So I'm sitting here in this room with these two nuts, and I'm sitting here like, I want one of y'all to say the wrong thing, baby. And the chair that I'm sitting in, I'm finna flip this, toss it across the room at her, and I'm finna flip him out that hospital bed, baby. I just want y'all to say the wrong thing up in here. That's all I want. Just say the wrong thing. Make me feel like y'all got something going on. And I'm finna set it off up in this room. I promise y'all that's what I was gonna do. But they kept their composure. She knew how to act. She was trained. So she was one of them supplies. He had her trained up well. She was one of the ones who know how to, okay, when a situation like this come, you know just what to say to make it sound good. And that's what they better had did. Because, baby, I'm telling you, it was going to be some shaking going on in that room, and it wasn't going to be me. It wasn't. But they played their cards right. But I ain't going to say that I ain't believe that wasn't nothing going on with them. I truly 100% do believe. I believed it at that time, and I still believe it right now to this day. But they kept their composure. The whole thing for me was y'all just say the right thing. And y'all both going to be okay in this room. I promise you. Just say the right thing. So the woman, while he's coming out the restroom, which was another dead giveaway, when he comes out the restroom and he sees her, he turns and look at me. And when he looks at me, he gonna tell some, she crazy. That's what he mouthing from across the room. But that's what they say everybody is. They say everybody crazy. Oh, she crazy. She's stalking me. No, she ain't stalking you. And she ain't crazy. She there because she felt like she was supposed to be there. She was there because she in her mind, she knew that she was your old lady and she was supposed to be there, and why is another woman sitting in here? And she just couldn't, she couldn't gather up the balls to ask me who I was. Because, baby, I wanted her too. And I was going to read her from A to Z. Nothing against her. But if she would have felt that bold, I would have told her who I was. I would have told her who I was. And I would have still flipped him out that bed. I promise you. Y'all know y'all girl crazy. Y'all know I'm crazy. But I still would have flipped him out that bed before I left out the room. But they played their cards right. So the conversation or whatever after she left or whatever, he was trying to play it off like it wasn't that big of a deal. But y'all know narcissists was sweep the stuff under the rug and act like nothing just happened. And basically that's what he did. He had like nothing happened. But I knew he was uncomfortable and I was cool with that. So I'm like, you know what? I ain't gonna pressure the situation no more because he's uncomfortable. That's where I want him at. I want him to be uncomfortable right now. So he won't pull that stunt no more. But we're dealing with the narcissist. They'll do it again. They always do. So now they ain't releasing him yet. So I chill with him a little while longer, and then I leave to go and be with my family or whatever, because I left and went to him about 7 or 8 o'clock that morning, and so things wasn't going to start jumping for my family reunion until about 12 or 1. So I was out of there by the time everything got ready for the family reunion or whatever. So I left, went and hung out with my family and everything, and of course he's texting and calling, blowing me up or whatever from the hospital and all that good stuff. And so basically asking like what time am I gonna come back to the hospital and all this stuff. And so at that time I stopped answering the calls because I felt like he was trying to get somebody else up there to the hospital or whatever. But you know, so I didn't get back to him until like 11 o'clock that night. And so I actually ended up spending the night with him at the hospital. So spend the night with him at the hospital. And that night, the next day after I spent the night with him, they released him, okay? So we go, I hang out with my family. I still got the rental car. So the next day after I spent the night with him, I go and get my brother, and so have my brother drop me off to his car. So he wanted me to drive his car now that they're going to release him from the hospital. So I go get his vehicle and come back to get him. Now, he's trying to tell me that there's a special way for me to drive his truck. But I get it. You know what I'm saying? But I need to drive the truck drive it to actually feel and see what it is that he's telling me that the truck is going to do when I do such and such or whatever. So I get in the car. I can't really quite get it to drive like he's telling me it will drive. So I'm driving the car, you know what I'm saying, the best way I can. This car is going slow. And so basically it was a transmission problem. So when the cars that I've driven that had transmission issues, if you try to apply gas, it stalls a little bit. If you release off of the gas, but still giving it gas, then you'll get some more speed. You know what I'm saying? So basically that's what I had to do to his truck. But the way he explained it, it was so difficult. He's like, you got to do this, put it in reverse, put it in drive, hit gas, do this, do that. And that jump was so confusing. But then when it all boiled down to it, the same way I just explained it to y'all of how I drove any other vehicle with a messed up transmission, that was the same way I needed to drive his. But he wanted to be so difficult because they set you up to fail every time. So he wanted me to fail driving his car so I can look like a fool, because that's what he's always been trying to make me look like, a fool. So I'm driving the thing. I make it to the hospital. It's going slow, but I don't get it, you know what I'm saying, until on the way after I picked him up. So I don't fully, know how to drive it just yet until he picks me up, and then now he's starting to guide me through how to drive his truck. So get back to the hospital, they release him, we get out, we go to his home for him to go and get his things or whatever, because he's after he gets out the hospital, he's actually going to go ahead and come back to Georgia with me. And this is when we get our place or whatever. So, like I said, this is around COVID time. So he could have probably stayed in the hospital a little bit longer, but being that COVID had just came down, they were trying to get the hospital as empty as they can, get more beds, so that way the people who are coming in with the COVID will have somewhere, will have a room or whatever. And so they were starting to kick out all the people who were not that sick and making more room for the people who got COVID that's coming in. So he was one of the patients that got kicked out or whatever. So he was going to go back to Georgia with me, which he did. And so we leave the hospital and we go back to his place. When we get back to his place, everything looks normal. There's nothing going on at this time until he unlocks the door and opens the door. When he opens the door, poof, all of this black smoke come out the door. It's on fire. So now we close the door back and we call 911. We doing all this here stuff or whatever. So we call 911. They get here and now he's just, I get it. He's upset. Things are on fire. His things are in there or whatever. And so at the end of the day, none of his stuff was ruined. The fire was contained to one area or whatever. If that's how you say the word. It was in one area, which somebody put charcoal in the oven. Who did that? I don't know. But it looked like, you know what I'm saying, because I stayed the night there, you know what I'm saying? Who wouldn't think that I might have, put something in the oven like a dummy? But I know how to cook, and I know you ain't finna put no charcoal in no oven and try to cook nothing. That's some crackhead stuff. But yeah, so his roommate or somebody put charcoal in the oven and set it on fire. I guess they was gonna cook them a rib dinner or something in the oven. Since they ain't had them a grill, they was just gonna grill it in the oven like that. I mean, just turn the oven on, sir, and put your food in there. You don't have to add charcoal. So we got a fire. His things are fine. It just, it just smelled like smoke. That's about it. But his things were okay in there. So while we're standing out there waiting on the people, putting the fire out and all that good stuff, he's getting agitated with everything that's going on. And so now he's talking to me sideways. And I'm just like, sir, okay, mind you, let me tell you what I'm doing. You just got out the hospital. I'm making sure you're okay, and I'm also assessing the situation at hand. But you just got out of the hospital. You stand a chance of passing out here. You want to go in there and be in the smoke. You can't be in no smoke. You just got out of the hospital, sir. So I'm sitting here trying to calm him down. I'm doing everything that a good woman should do to her man who just got out the hospital. It's a hot, sunny day in Florida. It's real hot. My kind, sweet self, as a girlfriend, or whatever you want to call me, he's sitting on the ground now because he's weak. He ain't got no energy. He ain't got no strength. You just got out the hospital under all them meds. So he's sitting down on the ground. So I go and stand behind him, over him, to block the sun from beaming on his back to help slow down if he does end up passing out. The heat that's hitting his back, I take that heat for you. I'm standing behind you, blocking the sun. I done got you a bottle of water. I'm consoling you. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And he looks up at me and says to me that I need to stop standing over him and go and try to figure out how I'm going to fix this situation. I didn't set the house on fire, sir. What you want me to do? So then he starts popping out his mouth. See, this why I don't tell people I want to marry them, because as soon as I say something, y'all start acting funny and acting weird and thinking y'all can tell me what to do and thinking y'all my mama and this, that, and that's exactly why I don't want to get married. And I'm sitting here like, well, when was I trying to act like your mama? Because I'm sitting here catering to you, making sure you got everything you need, make sure you're okay. I'm trying to be controlling. You can't do nothing for yourself right now, sir. You just got out of the hospital. I'm trying to look after you, make sure you're good. But you want to talk to me like I'm stupid or something. So then I go and sit off somewhere else. Now he mad because now I'm not tending to him no more. It's crazy when you dealing with a narcissist. It's like, dang if you do and dang if you don't. They ain't never satisfied. It ain't nothing you could do make them feel like you are worth a thank you. You are worth a compliment. You just ain't. But I'm going through this with you, sir. Why are you beating me down? I ain't doing nothing but trying to help you. I'm trying to keep you as calm and comfortable in this situation as I can. And it's only so much that I can do. But he knocked me down for even trying to help him. I'm trying to help you. And you talking to me sideways. But that's how they do. You can get your last dime. They ain't thankful because they feel like they entitled to that. What I need to tell you thank you for. You supposed to give me your last dime. That's how them narcissists be operating, y'all. But yeah, that was my little story. It was more to it, but the video is getting long and I kind of want to save a little space in my phone because I ain't really got a whole lot of space. So, and I don't want the video to cut off on y'all. But yeah, they will use you as a punching bag and you ain't even did nothing to them. Don't be nobody punching bag. Not to a narc, not to a regular, not to a sane person. You ain't nobody's punching bag. And we ain't gonna stand for it. Y'all have a great day. I love y'all. Enjoy y'all weekend. I'm enjoying mine. I'm in the game room. I had to get away from everybody to come in here and talk to y'all. But I love y'all. Have a great day.